Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Heartfelt Hour. I'm so glad you're here. Pour yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable in your favorite chair, and settle in. Today, I want to share a story with you about something we all have tucked away somewhere. Those little treasures that hold big memories. This is the story of Margaret and her blue teacup. Margaret was 68 years old when her daughter Emma came to help her move to a smaller apartment. It was early 2025, and over 3 days, they sorted through decades of accumulated life. Books, photographs, clothes, kitchen gadgets that had seemed so necessary once. "Mom, we need to be practical," Emma said gently, holding up a chipped blue teacup. "This is broken. We should let it go." Margaret took the cup carefully in her hand, running her finger along the crack that split down one side. "Not this one," she said quietly. Emma sighed. They'd been through this with so many items. "Mom, you can't keep everything." "I know, sweetheart, but not this cup." The blue teacup wasn't particularly beautiful. It wasn't fine china or an antique. The gold rim had worn away decades ago, and yes, that crack ran from rim to base. But Margaret held it like it was made of moonlight. "Let me tell you about this cup," Margaret said, sitting down on a box. And Emma, who had been rushing all morning, found herself sitting down too. It was 1975. Your father and I had been married just 3 years, and we were so young, both of us barely 22. We'd moved to Chicago, where he'd gotten that job at the factory. "Do you remember me telling you about that tiny apartment on Maple Street?" Emma nodded. She'd heard bits and pieces over the years. "We had almost nothing," Margaret continued. "A bed, a table, 2 chairs, and a few dishes we'd gotten as wedding gifts. But we were happy. Oh, we were so happy. One Saturday morning, it must have been October because the leaves were turning, I walked to the corner store for milk and bread. On the way back, I passed this little shop I'd never noticed before. In the window was a tea set, 6 cups and saucers, with this beautiful blue pattern, little birds sitting on cherry blossom branches." Margaret smiled at the memory. "I stood there for 10 minutes, just looking. We couldn't afford it. We were saving every penny. But I kept thinking how lovely it would be to have something beautiful. Just one beautiful thing. I went home without it. But your father noticed I was quiet that day. Finally, I told him about the tea set. He didn't say much, just asked me which shop. 3 weeks later, on my birthday, he gave me a wrapped box. Inside was this teacup and saucer. Just one. That's all he could afford. He said, "Every year, I'll get you another piece until you have the whole set." We never did get the whole set. Life got in the way. You came along, then your brother, bills and doctor visits, and school clothes. But every year on my birthday, he'd say, "Next year I'll get you that second cup." It became our little joke, our promise to each other. Even in the hardest times, we'd laugh about it. When the furnace broke, he'd say, "Well, there goes this year's teacup fund." When you needed braces, I'd say, "I never wanted the whole set anyway." After he died, Margaret said softly, I found an envelope in his desk drawer. Inside was $50 and a note that said, "For Margaret's tea set, 1 piece at a time." He'd been saving again. Emma was crying now, and Margaret reached over to take her hand. "So you see, sweetheart, this isn't just a broken teacup. It's every birthday we celebrated together. It's every dream we had to postpone and every joke we shared. It's the way he looked at me like I deserved beautiful things. It's 50 years of love in a chipped blue cup." Margaret wrapped the teacup carefully in tissue paper. "Some things aren't about being practical. Some things are about remembering that we were loved, and that we loved, and that those moments were real and mattered. Friends, we all have our blue teacups, don't we? Maybe it's a photograph that's been in your wallet for 40 years. Maybe it's a recipe card in your mother's handwriting, stained with vanilla extract and covered in flower fingerprints. Maybe it's a watch that doesn't work anymore, or a handkerchief, or a button, or a stone from a beach you visited once. These aren't just things. They're doorways back to moments when we felt alive, when we loved and were loved. They're proof that our stories matter. In a world that's always rushing us to declutter, to minimize, to let go, sometimes it's okay to hold on. Not to everything, but to those few precious reminders that our lives have been rich with meaning. Margaret kept her blue teacup. Emma never suggested throwing it away again. And when Emma would visit her mother in that smaller apartment, Margaret would serve tea, always in that chipped blue cup and always with a story. Because that's what we're really holding on to, isn't it? Not the objects themselves, but the stories they carry. And stories, dear friends, are meant to be shared. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope Margaret's story reminded you of something precious in your own life, something small that holds something big. If you'd like, leave a comment and tell me about your blue teacup. What small treasure do you keep, and what story does it hold? I'd love to hear from you. We're building a community here, and your stories matter. I'll be back tomorrow with another story, another moment, another cup of tea together. Until then, be gentle with yourself, treasure your memories, and know that you're not alone. This is Heartfelt Hour. I'm so glad you stopped by.